Yeah. So you've had some interesting guests on tonight. So I thought I'd try to isolate some kind of criteria for you to help you determine what you require to believe in God. So, what would you require?
I'm not really sure. God would know what that would look like, but I have no idea. But at the end of the day, like, how do you think? Like, do you think that God has ever revealed Himself to you?
Yes, 100%. But that's spiritually inclined. You have to be, you have to be receptive to um, being. Belief requires a certain amount of faith and also belief in supernatural, which is not of the natural world, yeah, not of the physical, not of the stuff that's tangible
Okay,
or logical.
sure.
So,
Would you agree that uh, billions of people have had some sort of experience like what you've had, but with a
okay,
different supernatural agent?
okay, I agree. And what
Do
what
you
I'm
think
trying to
any of
say,
those were real or not?
some of those may have been real. I can't judge based on every human being what kind of you know spiritual um, event may have happened, or what psychological event may have happened, or what a mental event may have happened, if you see what I mean. So you can't just generalize that statement. What I'm trying to
Okay.
establish is, for instance, throughout history, remember that God has sent messengers to different nations, to different peoples, and He's had different types of communities request different types of proofs for God. So today you said that if I heard a voice in my head saying me, God is real, you would put that down to a psychological illness, correct?
It'd be more likely, yeah, because we
Yeah.
know that people are can be psychologically ill. The idea that
Okay.
we know God exists is not not even remotely on the same level. It requires an enormous element of faith.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to establish today with you, Peterson, is that let's just clarify. We have to write off that you cannot accept any kind of voices in your head or any kind of telepathic communication because you've written that off. Is that agreed?
I'm saying I think it would always be more logical to think that it would be that. I'm I could be convinced, like if it happened to me every day for years, I can easily see myself becoming convinced of it, but that wouldn't make it true by any means. I mean, I used to be a believer, and there are things in my life that I thought were good evidence of it, but now when I think about it, it's like that wasn't really good evidence at all.
Yeah, so the line of reasoning I'm going down here with you is I'm going to provide you some proof today because I understand the kind of proof you require, but I'm just trying to establish that you would hold that same level of proof to the rest of the world that you live in. So in every other way that you kind of require proof. So let me give you an example. I have a book called the Quran, which I can personally testify to that it's 100% accurate for
Oh,
all of
I've got one of
time.
those too.
Yeah. Okay. So my book was written 1400 years ago, and it was passed down through memorizing and repeating. So it's a verbal canon rather than a written canon, and it's not suffered the the uh, Chinese whispers type of effect because it's been written and also verbally accurately corrected. So the point I'm getting across is I just want to get across to the proofs. Now, let me give you an example. There's a chapter in it called the bee. Now, if that chapter has a number, would that number be a coincidence or could it be a spiritual divine revelation for that number?
Literally anything could be a coincidence.
Okay, but now if we have multiple coincidences throughout the entire book, would it be a coincidence or would it be divine revelation? So let me
I
give you an
don't, I don't, I
example.
don't see how, I don't see how, at what threshold do a certain number of coincidences equal God, which isn't even a testable hypothesis. But
Okay, uh, I'll,
we can just do them one by one.
okay. Let me give you a series of them so you can then say if they're coincidences or not.
Yeah,
The
we can do
chapter
one at a
of the
time.
bee. Okay, chapter of the bee is chapter 16. Bees have 16 chromosomes pairs for female and 16 for the male. Honeybees, females, develop in 16 days. Is that not a miracle or is that just a coincidence?
It sounds like a coincidence to me, considering there are 20,000 species of bees. Now, I don't know if they all have the same number of chromosomes or not, but I highly, highly, highly doubt it. So if you have 20,000 bees, it's not like you're going to get 20,000 different numbers of chromosomes, but it's going to fall in this big range. So this is, to me, what you call a Texas sharpshooter fallacy. You,
Okay.
you shoot and then you draw the target around it, or it's kind of like cherry picking in a way too. So
Okay. Don't worry.
but
I'll give you a lot
why
more.
would God communicate his existence in the number of a chapter in a book?
Okay. So
If
I know
if
you.
look,
I know you was
can
gonna ask that.
I only want to say one more thing.
Yeah.
If that chapter said bees have 16 chromosomes, that would be extraordinary uh, evidence that right there. But instead, we just look at the number 16 in the book way after the fact, after we've gathered scientific information, and then read the book in light of the information instead of the book. So, if you want, the way you figure out if something is a coincidence or not, one of the ways you can do it is be like, well, are we just looking at information now, reading into the evidence from the past, constructing a narrative to make it fit? Or did it predict something? If you can establish that it predicted something, that's extremely good. But
Okay. Yeah.
anyways,
That's what I'm verifying that it predicted something, and it's something that
but
became
it
came
didn't.
before. Okay. So let me give you a list of them that which you can then claim are just coincidence, Texas sharpshooter, whatever. I don't mind, but I just need to understand your reasoning behind it. So now let's talk about the sun and the moon. The word moon in the Quran appears 27 times. The lunar cycle is 27 days.
It's 29 and a
The,
half days.
no, it's 27 days.
It's not.
It's 27 days in terms of the moon's reference frame. That is something from space. Yep. And it's 29 and a half days
That
from Earth.
I don't know
Or
what
20 and,
that could possibly mean.
okay.
So
In scientific,
you're talking about a sidereal day. How long is
no,
a
no,
sidereal?
sidereal days has to do with the rotation of the Earth. We're talking here specifically
No,
how long it takes for the moon to orbit around the Earth once. That's
yeah,
27
29
days.
and a half days.
No, 27 days.
It's 29 and a half days.
Okay. All right. Just because I don't want
what's a source you would trust on this? I can go to that source.
to, there, gray-eyed beings put it down. Read it.
What?
Look in the comments.
Oh, that's a person's name?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Gray eye something?
He put moon cycle is 29 and a half day, but the orbit is 27.3. So sorry, I may have said cycle as opposed to orbit, but I meant the same thing. Orbit. Yeah. But I did convey that the time it takes for the moon to go around the Earth once, which is 27
It
days.
takes the moon. Okay. I didn't know that. I thought it took the moon the or 20. It takes the moon approximately 23.8 Earth days, or about 29.5 Earth days on average, to complete one orbit around the Earth. Okay, so why do we have two different numbers here? Does it fluctuate? Approximately 20. Why is it telling me two different things?
Okay, just while you're doing that, I'll tell you the next factual thing. The Quran says the word sun 33 times, and the solar cycle is 33 years.
Oh, what's so the
The point it takes the sun to, in our reference frame, to go from its original point to its point of return, where it lines up with the moon, etc. 33 years. So you could type in solar cycle and it will tell you all about it to teach you. I'm not trying to go through the science with you. I'm just trying to verify that the science is accurate, the number is accurate, and the Quran is accurate. I'm not trying to like go into deep debates whether solar cycle is this or whether the lunar cycle is this,
sure?
because I know those things are accurate in terms of what I'm telling you. But otherwise, we'd be here all day. I'm just trying to provide you the evidence today. So
Okay.
the next evidence I'll give you while you're still doing that is that iron in the Quran, the word in its numerical value equals 26, which is the periodic table number of iron. The
Wait, wait,
word,
wait. What the word iron is said 26 times, or what do you mean?
no, the chapter iron, yep, there's a chapter in the Quran called iron. The chapter number is 57, which is either extremely close to the atomic number or exactly the same as the atomic number of iron 57. So the atomic number of iron is 56, 55 or 56.8 something, but iron 57 is roughly 57. But the word iron, if you take its numerical value for each letter, so IRON in Arabic, it comes to 26, which is the periodic table number 26.
Okay.
So are all these coincidences that match up with the future, or are they something only divine revelation could have known?
So I think they're coincidences because what we're going to find is like you've picked these really specific words, but I mean, we could pick, like, for example, I assume it says man and woman in the Quran, right?
Yeah, the man and woman is said 24 times each.
24 times each.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
so what does
the
that mean?
word day,
Humans have 23 chromosomes. You get 23 from mom, 23 from dad. Well, the Quran says each one 24 times. So it's like,
yeah,
okay, well that we can't do that, right?
yeah, yeah.
Like we could
No, no,
pick.
no. What I'm saying is, in the past, someone has linked the Quran to chromosomes, and they have said it's 23. But because I want to be accurate, I'm going to say it's 24. So I don't want to give you
Sure,
anything that isn't scientifically accurate, or maybe
sure.
you won't agree with it. So let
Really
me give
quick,
you
the
another one.
the
The number
average
of
mass
times
of
the word
iron is not 57, by the way.
is 55.85 or something along those lines. Yep,
Yeah. Yep.
yep. But there's iron 57, which is a stable non-radioactive element, which is 56.85, which is close enough to 57 because it's rounded up.
Well, look, you can't claim that something is. You can't claim this
And
is the inspired word if you have to round up to make the pattern fit.
yeah, okay. So remember what I said. I don't want to argue with the science aspect because I would trust divine atomic weight to human atomic weight, if you see what I mean.
What
So
the hell is a divine atomic weight?
meaning God would know the atomic weight more accurately than any human being would. That's what I'm trying to say.
But we know what it is.
Yeah, we might know what it is, but how accurate are we?
Extremely?
Okay, extremely. Is it more accurate than God's? That's what I would say. God is more accurate in terms of measuring. God's the one who created atoms and protons and neutrons and taus and quarks. So he would know exactly what their weight is, whereas we are still trying to understand these things. Um, Let me just
No,
give you another
we
one.
we we know the masses of atoms, the average atomic mass of atoms with like extraordinary accuracy.
I understand that, but okay, like I said, I don't want to debate the science because otherwise it would go too long.
That's fine.
Um, yeah, the next one is the number of times days is used in the Quran is
Three.
365 times.
Right. How
The
many
number of
times is
times
the word night used?
the number of times month is used is 12 months.
Okay. How many times is the word night used?
Okay, I haven't checked that, but knowing that the Quran has extremely precise written words, I would say 300 or however many nights there would be in a year. That's how many times. So either 364 or 365. You could search it right now. Type in how many times is the word night used in the Quran. And if it comes close to that number, then you have to convert to believing in God today. You just put yourself into that. You put yourself into that little mix.
The Quran mentions the alternation of day and night in 37 places.
No,
That's
type in how many times is the word night used in the Quran. That
this
would be
other source says 92.
92. Okay. You'll have to check a few just to make sure you're not just checking atheist.com.
Yes, what I should do is data mine and cherry pick the one that conforms with what we're looking
No, no.
for here. That's what I need to do.
Okay.
Look, this is all going to come back. This like these like coincidences with the number of times this is said versus like what we know about blank. Again, there we could pick any random number that we or word that we want in the Quran and see, okay, is there a pattern with this one? And for of all the tens of thousands of unique words that are used in there, if 10 of them, 15 of them, 20 of them have a really cool pattern to them, that's just that's it's so much more likely that it's a coincidence because you're ignoring the fact that virtually none of them show any kind of pattern whatsoever.
Okay. So even though they tell you about advanced science that no human being could have known up until our century that we're in now, even now we still don't know some
Yeah,
of the
but
things
that
that we know.
claim isn't justified because again,
Okay.
the the counter argument is that those those words and the numbers of times those words are being mentioned is just a post hoc rationalization based on what we know today.
Okay. No, that's fine. I understand. But what I'm asking from you, Peterson, is I need to know what your criteria that you can agree to that every human being could request rather than so miracles ain't gonna come no more, as in like, someone, you know, you, taking your arm off and reattaching it in front of your face, other than a surgeon
You
or
guys
something
don't believe
from
that that stuff is ever going to happen anymore?
No, no, it will happen in the future. There will be a time when a man comes to run the new world order who will show those kind of miracles. But that's not going to be God. That's just going to be a human being with an ability. What I'm asking from you is, what is your criteria? You can't. You've just said that you can't have voices in your head. You're telling me you can't have any kind of numerical, mathematical,
I could
miracles.
if I heard voices in my head for like over and over again, I could easily see myself being convinced that that's what's going on. If you
Yeah,
ask somebody, I'm not comparing believing in God to, well, I'm not saying that if you believe in God you're mentally ill, but I am going to make a comparison because I can't
yeah.
think of anything else to say. If you ask somebody who is suffering from like schizophrenia or something, are you
Yeah,
schizophrenic? They don't think so,
yeah.
right? But whatever goes on in somebody's mind is inaccessible to somebody else. So there's no way of justifying it to anybody else. There's no reason for me to believe anybody. There's no reason anybody should believe me, right? But I could
Yeah.
easily see how I could be convinced myself of that.
Thanks, Mikhail.
There are all kinds of weird coincidences that have happened in my life that I've wondered what the hell that's on about. If the laws of nature were just randomly changed for no apparent reason, then that would make me think, oh wow, yeah, maybe there's something spooky or supernatural
Yeah.
going on. Um,
Okay. So you're still not
if
defining. You're still not defining what it is you want in terms of something to believe in God. Like you say to me what you want. You're skirting around the idea. I need the clear, concise criteria for what you require to believe in God.
I don't know what clear and concise would be, I'm giving you generalized examples.
Yeah. Okay. So I know from the information that I have, there will be a major sign which will go against the laws of nature, but by then it will be too late. Meaning that is the gate
Darn
of
it.
which repentance is close. So the sun rising from the west and setting in the east will be an event that happens and is signifies the closure of the gate of repentance, meaning you won't be able to repent after that and it won't matter. So you will see the sun rising from the west and you'll be like, oh damn, I might believe in God now, but it's too late. So I need something that normal human beings can take that would apply to every human being that wouldn't be unreasonable to believe in God. What do you require?
I'm not sure what I would require. What I could say is if your book or some other book makes very, very specific predictions about something that hasn't happened yet, and those predictions start coming true, that would be pretty decent evidence.
Okay. No, that's fine. But you would put it down to coincidence later on when these events happen, wouldn't you?
It would depend on the nature of them. I don't know.
Okay, no, that's fine. No, that's fine, Peterson. When we chat again in the future, please have a bit more of a concise detail of what you require to believe in God. But it was nice speaking to you again today.